But then we realized that we don't really know how to do it. And that's the beauty about the partnerships, that you can balance what people knows and share the knowledge and say, okay, divide and conquer, right? So more minds, you can do greater things.
And welcome to the Adriana Ostapenko podcast. I'm here with good friends, Val and Layda. It's so nice to have you both here. We met in a real estate network. They are both active real estate investors, also beautiful people. And I'm so excited to have you both on the podcast.
Thank you for having us. Thank you for creating this space.
Yeah, thank you for giving the opportunity to people and come and share your journey. And thank you for the great introduction.
Yeah, of course. I'd love to hear. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
So we are LMB Properties. We started properly with the proper education 3 years ago. And we started with a single family home and we started scaling into multifamily.
Yeah, we are also both engineers by our degrees in engineering. We have been doing engineering myself 20 years. By 10 years, and we will also work in manufacturing. But yeah, we start when we learn about real estate and all the things that you could do. We got very intrigued about the multifamily, and that's been kind of our main focus in real estate, learning and doing more multifamily deals, and just scaling from there.
I love it. What originally inspired you to get into real estate?
We have always been attracted into real estate, but we realized that a way to preserve our money and have an actual assets was real estate. Mm-hmm. And then when we got into real estate, we changed our mindset. So that's how we started, and we realized we needed the proper education.
Yeah, we always had the interest about that. And when we had our first single family home, we actually had two. And then we decided to sell one and buy a bigger house with a finished basement. So we always had that in our heads, like, how can we acquire more? Our mindset was single family homes, right? So acquiring another one. So when we retire, they are paid off and we live from our rents. That was our mind. Like, we still had that interest. We knew that the way to go was real estate until we discovered, like, oh, okay, actually there's education about investment. There's things that we can learn. There's things that we can do faster. When you get the proper education and you learn the things, and that's how we ended up going, like, okay, we're already thinking on that. There's education. It was no brainer for us to jump and get the proper education, right? It's important to know what you're doing, and from there, yes, it has been just a beautiful journey, and there's always learning,
and also to share with our family. So we see the value in real estate investment. Get and travel with them and see them more often. So real estate investment has provided that to us to share more with them, travel with them, and as an immigrants, it has been a challenge because we come from a culture that is you have to do everything by your own. So this real estate investment has opened our mind in that sense.
I love it. Tell me, like, what was your first investment that you've done and where are you now?
So we started with a single family home, a townhouse. That was our first investment. And then from there, we started scaling. The biggest thing was to partner. And from there, we got a multifamily apartment building, a 7-plex that with partners, we being the financial partners, transform it into a 10-plex.
That's amazing.
The very first thing we also do actually was passive investment, right? So when we discovered that we can invest our line of credits and things like that, that was very easy. Like, okay, instead of being on the bank. So that was the very first thing we did. And then we started getting more into the active side, like getting more involved. And as Vale say, that we jumped right away in multifamily because we saw the value, we saw the importance. And we always talk about that, right, in real estate, that when you have a single family home, is one income, right? If the tenant moves out, you don't have income. Or if you have to replace, it's a roof for one unit, right? When you go to multifamily, So you have a better control of that because it's one roof, and in this case, it's 10 units. If one tenant moves out, you still have other 9 tenants that will pay the rent. So it helps. It sounds bigger and crazy because always more units bigger, but what we learn is easier to control, right? So you have more leverage about everything inside the building. So it was no brainer for us, and we partner in that 7 to 10 conversion, and it was an amazing journey. We learned a lot, even being passive, because that's what kind of the things that we agreed that we wanted to learn because we wanted to do it ourselves.
Yeah, in these cases, we also know that in multifamily, you reduce the risk, as Lai was saying. You reduce the risk in so many points. Of course, you have to have a plan. You have to run your numbers. You have to do your proper due diligence. And if you're going to do partnerships, you have to make sure it's like a marriage. So you have to make sure you are able to, share dinner and with your partners. So it is very important to do your due diligence on everything.
I was just going to ask you about that. Tell me about partnerships. How did you go about choosing your partners, and what advice would you give to new real estate investors on, choosing partners?
For us, it was a big change because our limiting beliefs. For us, it was like we got the HELOC, and then we said, okay, we have the money. We're gonna do it alone. We don't need anybody. And then we went to Investors in the Park, a meetup, and we met amazing people. So from there, we started building the relationship.
Yeah, but it was all about the mindset that she was saying, right? In our countries, we are very used to, or we are scared that people is always going to rob you or things like that. So, or you do it yourself. So for us, as she was saying, we got the HELOC and like, okay, we can do something with that money. But then we realized that we don't really know how to do it. And that's the beauty about the partnerships, that you can balance what people knows and share the knowledge and say, okay, divide and conquer, right? So more minds, you can do greater things. So that was the very first thing. And even though we're still scared, we took the time to meet our partners and to meet them as person. Actually, we didn't talk about business at the beginning. It was more like life. What you do, what's your life, what's your story, and same with us. So we share that. And then you ask for the information and run the numbers, verify the information, because that's also very important. It's not just like, oh yeah, I trust you, I like you, here is the money, right? It's really understand, because as Bob was saying, it's a relationship, it's a partnership, and you need to be able to ask the questions when you want. When there's something that you want to know, you need to feel confident to ask for it, and also have the trust on them that they will do what they are good in doing, right? So that's why we are partnering with them.
Yeah, and we wanted to make sure that the values and the goals are aligned. So that's key when you're doing a partnership for the newbies, for all the people that are getting into real estate and are looking for partnerships. The goals and the values need to be aligned to have this partnership work.
Yeah, and also understand the long-term strategy, right? Let's say, I'm pretty sure we always hear about that example, like, okay, I want to put my money into real estate, but my son is going to get married in a year. I will need the money back in a year. You need to understand that, because in real estate, there is so many different strategies to also make sure that align with your goals, because that's very important. If you go in a buy and hold, you are talking that you are going to be in a partnership for at least 5 years, right? Or 10 years, or 7 years. In our case, it's around 7 years, because we had the renovation period, and then now we're gonna go into the mortgage for 5 years, and it doesn't mean it's gonna end in 5 years, right? So the agreement that we have is that we're gonna revisit, and if everyone wants to stay on the deal, we will just continue on the deal and extend it. But it's important to know those goals when you're new. Just don't go by the Chinese. It's what is the revenue? What you feel comfortable, and also the risk tolerance, because there is risk in real estate, and there is different risk on every deal. So you need to understand that and ask questions. Ask a lot of questions.
Yeah, another thing that is very important that we have seen in the current market is the communication. You have to ask at the beginning setup, how is the communication? Are we gonna hear from the partners every month, every 3 months? So it is very important to clarify what is the communication that you're looking for, and it aligns for both parties. So it's key to have those meetings, and because sometimes as active partners, passive partners, you're doing the work. So it's like you don't want to have weekly meetings. That's too much for us. For example, for us, it's too much. So that should be very important, to have clear communication. When are you going to have the meetings and the updates?
So many good points there. Something that I wanted to highlight is I was doing a Raising Capital Masterclass last night, and I was seeing exactly like when you talked about where you met your partners and like kind of the first moments there. It's exactly what I talked about yesterday. One of the things that I talked about was, one is getting yourself out there. You went to a meetup for real estate investors. That's kind of where you start to meet your crowd and getting immersed in a community of people that are doing the things that you want to do. And then it was about like building the relationship first. And there was probably a mutual likeness, like you guys, liked each other and were alike too in your values, in your alignment, energetically felt right. And then you moved forward to like, okay, let's discuss what opportunities you have. And that was the exact sort of, framework that I was giving to my Raising Capital students on how to approach, and how to ultimately build relationships, because that's really where it comes down to at this level that we're at. I know it gets institutional when you go bigger and bigger, but we're still in this really nice place where it's a lot of relationship building and trust. So thanks for sharing that. Lots of good tips. That being said, has there been any particular challenging situations that you've been in so far in your real estate career, and how have you overcome it?
In that particular deal, in terms of the real estate, one of the biggest challenges we have, because we closed that in 2022, and we know everything that happened last year, right? So the interest rates hikes, CMHC rules changes, all that impacts somehow the deal. But also because our partners have done an amazing job with the property, so it kind of balances out with the value that was increased. But at the moment, when you go to those challenges, so it's a lot that you have to think about it, but also be able to pivot right away, right? There is no time in those situations. There is no time to, let's think about. And sometimes there is not even time to, let's all get together. As active partners, you have to take those decisions quick. So that was one of the big things. Being able to understand, right? When a partner tell you, okay, we have to do this, trying to understand. And as we're saying, it's important as investors, and I'm pretty sure it's one of the things that we learned at the very beginning, that there's always risk, there's always changes. Just be open about that and understand why those situations or decisions are being taken, and also education.
It's very important that we stay persistent, because there is going to be a lot of changes. Like we're seeing it in the market, we're seeing CMHC changing the rules, interest rates. So there is a lot of things that can happen. So you have to be very persistent, and if there is anything that that happens, you have to be ready to stand up and keep going and look forward and learn, because it's key. Those are the key points in real estate. Another thing is, the challenge sometimes is you have to keep running your numbers, rerun your numbers. What's the next scenario? What's happening? Do I have to readjust? Because if you don't do that, then you're behind. Yeah, so it is key.
And ask questions. We are part of communities. That's one of the things that we discovered actually when we joined, and going a little bit back into the mindset. In our very first meetup, we realized that people in this world is always willing to share. So for us, our very, very first meetup, we always talk about it, because we always remember that, right? That people were like, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that. What are you doing? What is your strategy? If you're doing this, go and talk to this person. So it's a lot of like, our first meetup was like, oh my God, there's a lot of information, but people is there to help you. So when you're facing those challenges, tap into that, tap into the community, tap into other investors, because you never know who already had a similar situation, or who knows someone already had a similar situation. And you can also learn from that, which is the beauty of the community, that you don't have to learn all by yourself. because there is a ton of information. There is a ton of people doing similar things that you're doing, and there is a lot of education. And that's one of the challenges that we have to overcome, because we are not used to ask for help. It's very, in our mindset, it was very like, I don't know. I don't even know what we were thinking, right? You feel like, I don't know, if I ask, people will think that I don't know. So it's overcoming that. But that was, for all, we have done a lot of work in our mindset to overcome those limiting beliefs and those challenges.
And another thing that I wanted to add is that we are both very logical. So we need to see, you need to have the big picture, but you cannot get stuck in, oh, I don't know this, I don't know that, I know, because you don't know everything. So you don't know what you don't know. So as long as you have the next logical step, then you start going, because that's something that, because we're engineers, we want to know everything. We want to know, and everything needs to be calculated. All the numbers need to, be almost perfect. and that's not how it works. So for us, it has been a lot of, okay, this is the next step. Keep going. Okay, what's next? Because then you get the analysis paralysis.
So good to bring that up. I was telling somebody yesterday that, the greatest learning comes through action. And as long as you're sitting on the sidelines, just waiting to get all the information, you're not going to really learn that much, unfortunately, because you really have to take the action to start learning. There's no such thing as knowing everything before you start doing the things. I love that. That being said, what do you believe is the most important quality for success in real estate investing?
We're talking about persistence. In real estate, you will hit the wall so many times that you will fall, and you need to be able to stand up and keep going. That's the world. Is you need to go and be persistent with what you want. As long as you know your numbers, as long as you know where you want to go, it's important to just keep going. It's not going to be easy, and that's one of the things that you need to be consistent and persistent. But if this is what I want to go, just try and try and try and try, and then you will see the results at the end.
Yeah, persistency is very important, because it's okay to have the fear, because we're learning and expanding. So it's okay to feel sometimes that you are not, you don't know everything, because you don't know everything. So, to have the experts and the like-minded people around you is very important. So it's seeing through and visualizing where you want to go.
The ability to pivot and bring forward like creative problem-solving skills, it's so massive, as you know. Because that's really the only way to be persistent and keep moving forward whenever you do reach a point where you're like, I never faced this before, I've never heard about this before. Somebody, having the network is one where you, like you said earlier, can reach out and be like, who's been through something like this? How have you solved it? But also, like you said, putting on that, like, okay, this is my business. I'm going to figure this out, whatever it takes to, to pull it together. I'm going to find the best possible solution here. I use that often.
Yes. And I will also say resilience, right? Is learn quick. And as you were saying, pivot, because you cannot, again, you're going to face challenges, but if you see like, oh my God, I should have done this, or why to me, is okay. What is the learning here? What can I do to keep going, to move from here? There's things that we can't change. Like when we were talking about interest rates, we were talking about CMHU, we can't control that. And it's like, oh, what? You cannot let the deal fall through. It's like, okay, what are my options? What do I need to do? And just, okay, start from where you need to start still start analyzing your new options and learn from there. And also start everything that you learn in every deal. Obviously, you're gonna find that as you do more and more, you will be having more learning and easier to take decisions, right? So
this is why I like the systems and processes, because You see, like every time I learn something new, it goes into a system or process because I will most likely face it again. So from like the small things to big things, every time something comes up, and it really helps me scale because now I can, predict, and that you're just taking all those learnings and building your business, from experience, and automating and creating systems so that next time you already know what to do in that situation. So
yeah, that's why we always admire you, because as Val was saying, we're engineers, so we are all processes, like 2 + 2 is 4. So it's very, and we always know you because of that. So it's like, oh my God, that's amazing. Like, we love it. Yeah.
yeah, me too. What do you think is the biggest misconception people have about the real estate industry?
That is a quick get rich. Yeah, that's a big one. Sometimes people come in and they have a different a myth. It's a myth that it's quick. You're gonna put the money, you flip the house, and it's out, and you're out. That's not how it works. It takes time. You have to run your numbers. The deals are, for example, in multifamily, the deals are longer, so it's not a get rich quick.
Yeah, and this is a short-term game. People think like, oh, you buy real estate, you're already rich. No. It's a lot of work that you have to put before you start seeing the results, right? And also depending the strategy, but yeah, it's not easy. Yeah, when you have the education, it really helps a lot. But as we have just mentioned, there is challenges and things that we can control, and they will be happening all the time. You never know. You never know what you're gonna find behind a wall.
One more thing is the expertise.
The expertise.
You don't need expertise, and that's not how it works. Like you have to be connected with your experts. For example, the lawyer has to be real estate focused lawyer. Your accountant has to be a real estate accountant. So that you don't need expertise. It's another misconception. You do need to know how to run the numbers, know your market. So this is another thing that people think that is not needed, and it's very important.
And the last one I will say that for us, it was like that you can do it alone. you can actually do it alone, but it's going to take you longer. And I would say actually alone, because you need a realtor, you need a lawyer, you need a broker, you need a mortgage broker. So you need all that. So you really need to build your team around that. So it's not a solo journey. And we're actually so grateful that we found that at the very beginning, that we were able to flip that switch in our head that, okay, yeah, if we partner, actually you can do better and greater things when you partner with like-minded people that follow your same goals.
It has been an amazing experience, and they were open to teach us. So that has been amazing. We have been able to see the property on each stage because it was completely to the stats. So we were able to see the whole process. So yeah, the partnerships was one thing that really changed us at the beginning.
So important. Like I'm gonna recap a couple of points there just to emphasize it. One is the fact that it's not a get rich quick, process here in real estate. In fact, and the reason why I wanted to highlight this is going through this downturn and recession we are going through right now, it became so I've always heard people saying that, but seeing it happen it just impacts you so differently on how I'd say the majority of people that got in trouble during this time either were doing, quicker, shorter term strategies. And that's really where they got into trouble, because they were hoping to make a quick buck on a quick return on a fast timeline. And they were really super ambitious in what they could get. And when the market turned, they quickly realized, shoot, I can't. And depending on what kind of scale you were in, you couldn't survive that recession. And as you know, a lot of people unfortunately went under during this time, and they were quicker strategies. So we're talking about flips, we're talking about short-term loans, we're talking about, anything that really were short-term returns. The longer term, and I'd speak for my own portfolio, we feel it. We feel the tightness, we felt the interest rates, we felt the cash flow, we felt the refinance, we felt the CMHC changes. But we stayed strong and stable and steady because we're here for the long term. Like, we don't do anything less than a 5-year timeline. So, within enough of a timeline, the market fixes and adjusts back to where it needs to be. And then not being over leveraged, right? Which is, again, why a lot of people got into trouble there. So all really, really important things for people to know that are getting into real estate. This is so good. I love that. I'm actually quite excited to share with our community as well, this podcast, because it's so valuable to beginning real estate investors. And I admire you both because I've seen you coming into the community, and I've seen you give it your all. And this is how you know somebody's gonna make it, is when they come in and they're willing to embrace and build community and build relationships and learn and ask the questions and immerse themselves and be adaptable. You're like, we're coming in here and we have all these, preconceived ideas, but we're willing to change and learn and grow and evolve. And that's really what this is how the telltale that somebody's going to succeed in whatever it is that they're doing, but in our case, in real estate. So it's been so fun to watch your journey as well and your growth. And I know it's only up from here for you too.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah. We have learned so much from you. So thank you for putting out all the things that you do out and sharing
to everyone, sharing to other people. And that also happened to us at the beginning, that we're like, at the very beginning, actually, when we did our HELOC, that's also a process, right? And you think like, oh, it's not a big deal. But we found people that didn't know. So we were teaching that people at the beginning, and like, okay, well, you never know. There is always someone that you can share something that you learn. And that's how the community keeps growing, and we are all learning together, which is the beauty. We really love the community, and that's what keeps us there, building a relationship. We have built a lot of good relationships and a lot of good friendships as well.
I love that. And this is the thing. Over time, like, all my old friends, like, they all got replaced by my real estate friends because it's such a beautiful community and there's so many good people there that you get to connect with. I so appreciate this. Is there anything else that you'd like to touch base on?
But probably what we'll say, like, just going back to the people that is new, if you are new in this journey of the real estate investment, try to get proper education. It is very important. And as you were saying, there is a lot of people that unfortunately has been affected because they didn't have proper education or they didn't ask the right questions, right? It is important, the relationship is important, the trust, but it's important that you also get your education so you know which questions to ask. And if you need to go and ask someone else, just don't be shy and ask those questions, because that's what's going to solve you a lot of problems in the future.
Yeah, I wanted to add also for the newbies, surround yourself with experts and like-minded people. Be on those rooms with people that are already doing what you want to do. So surround yourself with experts, like-minded people. Share your experience. And give value to the community.
I love them. I love all those advices. Please listen to them because they worked so hard to be where they are already and have so much knowledge to share. How can people reach out to you guys?
They can find us in our Instagram, lmb.properties. That's our company, their business Instagram, and our personal Layda Zuniga, MLAYDA ZUNIGAM.
And mine is Valentina Carrillo. And we also can share the Calendly. So anyone that is interested in doing something with your passive investments, then can reach out to us, and we can have a chat, or if there is any questions that you want to share or any questions that you have, don't hesitate to reach to us, and we can support.
Yeah, we would love to help someone with anything that we can.
I know you would too. Make sure to reach out to them, have a discovery call, get to pick their brains and see what opportunities they have to work with them as well. Because they're just really incredible people, and it would be a great opportunity to have them as your friend, partner, coach, whatever it is, how you can get involved with them. Thank you so much for coming into the podcast. I appreciate you both. I look forward to connecting again very soon.
Thank you very
so
much.
Yeah,
Thank you, Adriana.